Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Well, we are just getting started. We did have some light rainfall earlier today, even some more moderate pockets that picked up across Oceanside. We saw that for North County, and now we're dealing with that influx of heavier rainfall in the forecast to start the weekend. So right now we are seeing things a little bit more on the lighter side. It's a slow moving area of low pressure that has to close in, and as a result, that increases those rain chances. So that's why we're looking at the heavier stuff for tomorrow, but it's been pretty light overall across the county for today. So we are still watching and waiting when it does come to that atmospheric river. We're already starting to see some of the impacts, but as mentioned, the heavier ones start to roll in by tomorrow. But we do have the flood advisory that is in effect all the way until about 12:30 in the morning, and that is going to be for the LA area. We're going to see more of those alerts going out across Southern California, especially with the heavier stuff that's in store, as mentioned, for tomorrow. So late tonight all the way through our Saturday, we have moderate to heavy rainfall back in the forecast. And when breaking down the time frame just a little bit more, you're talking about a 12-hour period starting about 4 a.m. west of the mountains, that window when it comes to heavy rainfall. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to rain the entire 12-hour period. It's just that period, that window, is going to present when we're anticipating that heavier rainfall. So any time between about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning to about 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Also looking at a similar time frame when it comes to about a 12-hour period, 6 a.m. starting tomorrow morning for the mountains, lasting through about 6 p.m. into the evening hours, and about 7 a.m. for the desert all the way through about 6 p.m. and that will be for tomorrow night. So that's the window that we are anticipating seeing some of that activity popping up, just not saying it's going to be steady for that 12-hour period. When you look at the alert that's in effect for us right now, it's the flood watch. That means that we could be dealing with a flash flood warning that would go into effect at a moment's notice when you start to see some of those stronger cells. It has been issued, goes into effect starting at about 4 a.m. for tomorrow morning and lasts all the way until about 10 p.m. Could also see some flood advisories of our own because right now we're focusing on the slick roads, but by tomorrow it's more of a flood concern for the county. We have an area of low pressure that is tapping into an atmospheric river, so sending that moisture in our direction, a little bit more subtropical moisture. People have been asking about snow. Snow levels coming down to about 6,500 feet to about 7,000, so we're not talking about a lot of snow with this. It's going to be on the highest peaks like Mount San Jacinto, and that's going to be north of us. And so with that being said, because it is a little bit of tropical moisture, subtropical moisture, and that's why we're not talking about basically seeing a really strong area of low pressure driving down those snow levels. So we are focusing more so on the heavy rainfall aspect of this, especially when you're talking about an atmospheric river. Also some cooler temperatures that are in store as we have widespread 60s for daytime highs. Focusing back on the rain, our in-house model is suggesting more than an inch of rainfall for most of the county. That would take us all the way from tonight through about Sunday. And so we are looking at potentially about 2 inches of rainfall. That's for El Cajon, also seeing that for Campo. And here's the thing, this model has been fluctuating, but I do want to show you this one and compare it to the one when it does come to rainfall projections by the National Weather Service. And so they are suggesting that we could see about 2 to 2.5 inches of rainfall late tonight all the way through about Sunday morning. So there is a little bit of a difference between our in-house model and what they're projecting, but basically some significant rainfall and also beneficial rainfall for us, but it's just the fact that it's all coming at once. That's the problem, because a lot of heavy rainfall in a short period of time that leads to those flood concerns. So that's why you're seeing that flood watch being issued across our county. Also talking about when all is said and done, we could see an upwards of about 4 inches of rainfall for the mountains, for the desert about 1.5 inches. So this puts us once again that time frame of late tonight all the way through about Sunday morning. When we set the clock in motion, we are seeing that influx of moisture by tomorrow morning. You're focusing more so on heavier rainfall. That's around 8 a.m. and as you can see, it's across the entire county that we fall into that range of more moderate to heavier rainfall. Then we get into about, I want to say noon on Saturday. We see it start to move onshore, and then by 1:15 we see it with the line of stronger rain and even some thunderstorms embedded in that. That pushes more so towards the mountains. And so so that would be in the afternoon hours. We get the instability, the heating of the day. And that's when we're looking at more favorable chance of seeing those thunderstorms in our forecast, and still with some rainfall right there along the coastline. When we set the clock in motion a little bit more, it starts to lift towards the desert. That's about 1:55 for our Saturday in the afternoon. And then we see another surge, but not as widespread and not as heavy as what's going to be happening into the morning and early afternoon hours. We get into the evening, everything starts to die down just a little bit more. We are still looking at some rainfall impacting around 640. That's going to be for basically La Jolla area all the way towards North County. You're seeing that. And then it starts to lighten up just a little bit more. That's going to be around 850 as we go into the evening for Saturday, even seeing a more moderate pocket right there for North County. And then we get into the overnight hours. We're seeing another surge with some heavier rainfall across North County, where most of the county is going to be dealing with some lighter activity, or just talking about misty conditions as cloud cover will be around, but you're seeing right there at the border, seeing some lighter showers. And then we get into Sunday. Now you're going to notice on your extended forecast, I have changed it up just a little bit more. So we are still looking at a weather impact alert day for tomorrow because of the heavy rainfall, but I'm scaling back when it comes to Sunday because we're looking at some much lighter activity and spotty. And that's going to be just lingering as we go into about Sunday morning around 9:20. So once again, those rainfall totals I showed you projected, that's basically taking you through about Sunday morning, but then we get into the afternoon hours and we start to see that moisture getting caught up more so for the mountains. That looks to be the more favorable location for measurable rainfall by about Sunday afternoon, and then everything clears out at that point. So overall for Sunday, we start to dry out in our forecast. Could still see some isolated activity, much lighter than what we're going to be dealing with for our Saturday. And then we go into next week and gear up for even more wet weather. So that atmospheric river moves out, but then another one looks to close in. Monday and Tuesday, not looking to be as intense with the rainfall, but still talking about some pretty good measurable rainfall. Additional on top of the 2 inches that we could see, 2 to 2.5 west of the mountains, tacking on an additional 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rainfall with the next system Monday and Tuesday. Also potentially could see an additional about up towards about 2 inches across the mountains. So still talking about some pretty beneficial rainfall, but the big problem is going to be the fact that the ground will already be saturated because of the weekend. Then we go into Wednesday where we get a little bit of a break. Area of high pressure, weak ridge moves in, but then it has to move out, being nudged by yet another strong area of low pressure. And very similar to the forecast that we're going to have on Monday and Tuesday, we're looking at similar rainfall projections. So as of tonight, on top of the storm system to kick off next week, we could see on Thursday and Friday an additional upwards of 1 inch of rainfall for areas west of the mountains, and then also talking about the mountains, about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. So we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the next week, especially when it comes to more of these parades of lows moving through. And so we'll continue to keep you posted on that activity as well. And then we look to dry out by the start of next weekend. So when it comes to chances, now you can see why I've changed up the extended forecast. We're still looking at that very high chance for tomorrow. We've been talking about the bulk of the moisture moving in on Saturday. Chances come down significantly by Sunday. Some lighter hit or miss activity out there, and then those chances increase again with that another area, with the other area of low pressure starts to move in by the start of next week. And because those chances are now above a 50%, went ahead and put red boxes on those days. There is your Wednesday. Wednesday, maybe a lot of you will be out there just trying to take in that sunshine, as we are looking at pretty dry conditions for our Wednesday, and then those chances start to ramp right back up again with that other area of low pressure for Thursday and Friday. If models continue to indicate that we have a better shot of seeing some of that moisture and even maybe some higher rainfall totals, you'll see red boxes going on the second half of next week as well. But for tonight, we're just going to focus on this weekend and the start of next week. So you're looking at weather impact alert days for your Saturday with a chance for those heavier rainfall and thunderstorms, a few isolated showers in the morning hours on Sunday, but then we start to dry out a little bit more by the afternoon and evening. Gear up for another storm system that brings in more weather impact alert days and potentially seeing upwards of about 1 inch of rainfall west of the mountains, 2 inches that would be for the mountains. You'll get that break on Wednesday, but still holding on to temperatures that would be below seasonal for this time of the year with those widespread 60s, and then those 60s sticking around, but other chances for additional rainfall for Thursday and Friday of next week. For the mountains, you have the weather impact alert day, very similar pattern across the county. So focusing on Saturday, not so much with Sunday, some additional lighter showers in the forecast, and then we gear up for the wet starts in next week. We take that break, enjoy it. Temperatures below seasonal for this time of the year. That's going to be for the desert. Get a little bit of a break, allow us to dry out just a little bit more on Wednesday, and then we gear up for the second half of next work week. That brings in more of those rain chances. But these cool temperatures, well, they're definitely not going anywhere as we have our fluctuating rain chances, series of low pressure systems on parade, just moving through Southern California, bringing that beneficial rain. But the fact that it's coming all at once is something a little jarring. So please be careful out there on the roadways. Give yourself some extra time. If you encounter a roadway that looks flooded and you don't know how high or how deep it is, please do not drive through it. Turn around. Also keep in mind that we have that flood watch, and so that also includes San Diego River, especially when you're talking about Fashion Valley. A lot of you are going to try to go out to the mall. Just keep in mind that you probably will have some blocked off roads around that area because we are talking about that water level rising with the heavy rainfall that's going to be in the forecast. So please be careful out there this weekend. I'll see you right back here with some updates tomorrow morning. Sean will take care of you tomorrow night. Back to you.